welcome to this week's QPR Preview Show. It's episode 14, but the first episode now, a very busy period of the season as we head towards Christmas. If you're anything like me and Dave, though, you're very happy to have football back. It's been what felt like an incredibly long international break this time. And we have two matches to get our teeth into straight away. We head to Norwich on Saturday before hosting Stoke on Tuesday. Before that, let's have a quick look back, if we can even remember it, on the last match before the break. A 0-0 draw at home to Bristol City. Can you remember it, Dave?
Bits of it. Feels like a long time ago, doesn't it? Yeah. No, I thought we did well on the day. I know it was, we wanted to try and get this first home win and, get that monkey off our backs. But again, it was an improved performance. I thought we did quite well. Bristol City are a good side, and I thought we didn't create many chances, but I thought we did look quite good on the ball. And I was quite impressed with us without the ball as well. I thought we actually looked quite organised. That's been part of the big problem the last year or so. You concede in 2 or 3 goals every game, so we've got no chance. But at least we didn't look like we were going to concede loads, which was a tiny step forward. And I thought Colback played a big part of that. When he went off, I thought we kind of fell apart a little bit for 5-10 minutes in that game. But there was definitely positives to take for it. We need that win sooner rather than later. But it was another small step in the right direction.
Yeah, lots of positives, especially like you say about how competitive we're looking games now compared to where we were. The only goal we've conceded in the manager's first 2 games was from a set piece. So in terms of us having a plan, trying to play football, being solid, we're meeting those targets. But to have no shots on target at home, we can't gloss over that, can we? It was disappointing. Again, it's a big question mark with QPR. How do we fix that?
This is the big problem he's got. You can improve, you get better defensively, you can improve us on the ball, but this team hasn't got goals in it. We've been saying it for 2 years now. You can't rely on Dykes as your only seen striker. He just doesn't score enough goals. He works hard for the team and, can't really fault his effort, but he goes too long without a goal. And I didn't think he was very good against Bristol City, to be honest. But then no one else really was in front of goal. I did think we missed Chair in the game. I think him and Willock are going to work quite well now that they're likely to play a lot more together. But you can't really use that as an excuse. It's been the story of the season, really. We get in the final third, and that final pass, that final shot is just too wayward, and it has to improve. I don't know how we do it without signing more players, but we're going to have to find a way because, like you said, there's a lot of games in the next few weeks.
Yeah, Lyndon Dykes, he was the hot topic again, really, after Bristol City, splitting opinion. It's a bit like the chicken and the egg situation. What comes first? Is it the bad service to blame, or is he just not performing right now?
Yeah, it is a bit of both. I mean, what worries me with Dykes is he's always on his heels. So when they do manage to put a good ball in, he's not there. Like there was a Willock put a cross in the first half against Bristol City. It was a lovely ball in, but Dykes was just nowhere near it. He was just stood, and he was like, oh no. And then Tommy'd run onto it. It had gone. And then he gets in good positions later on in the game and we don't deliver for him. So you're like, you can't really win. But, I think Dykes can do a little bit more. I think he just, like I say, he's on his heels too much. He needs to be, reacting to things a lot quicker. He seems to want the perfect ball in, and it's not going to come. We're not Man City. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I know you can't have half a chicken and half an egg, but I do think it's both. Dykes is way off the pace, but the service is so poor. And the Bristol City match, there were so many examples throughout it. One example I can show you on the screen here. We had 5 players in the box. There's good numbers forward, Fields on the edge of the box as well. But Richard's cross was on the ground, didn't even beat the first man. And that is just one example. So as much as Dykes may be below par, he can't do much if the ball's not coming in the box. I think I put a comment on our forum that Haaland probably wouldn't have scored for QPR against Bristol City because the quality of the chances of creating really isn't good enough. You made a good point, though, about us comparing us against Bristol City. They are a good team. It does show we've made some progress, at least since the end of last season, because they played us off the park, didn't they, the last game of last season? And as much as it's now 11 games without a win for us, it was good to at least see us playing the right way against a decent side.
Yeah, I mean, if you just compare it to the few home games before that, that Blackburn game was completely atrocious, wasn't it? But the difference in that performance to this one was just miles apart. We just looked like we knew what we were doing, and we looked a decent team. We can. It's easy to pick holes in it. There's so much we can improve, and it's obvious in the final third they need to improve. But it's small steps forward, and it just felt a lot better. Even though it was only 0-0, I just come away from the game thinking, played all right today. That was okay. All right. You look at the league table and think, oh God, yeah, look, we're still in trouble. But it did feel a little bit better. Hopefully that feeling lasts a bit longer and we can actually get a win. So
Yeah, I mean Huddersfield did lose, so we are actually a point closer to safety than we were last time we were chatting, and it was another clean sheet. So we have to, like I say, take the positives, and it's another 2 chances to try and get a win on the board this week. A trip to Norwich up first. We've already played this season, of course, in the cup. That was though the latest in a run of 7 games without a win against Norwich. QPR haven't actually beaten them since 2018, and we've only won 2 of the last 18 against them. So not a great match on paper, but they have been on a bit of a terrible run lately. They were 6 without a win prior to beating Cardiff in the last match before the break to steady the ship. Now, where do you stand on this, Dave? Because did that Norwich win do us a favour? Because otherwise we would have probably been facing another new manager, or having lost their last 3 home games and Wagner is still now going to be under massive pressure, knowing he's probably got to beat QPR to keep his job. So which would you prefer?
I'm glad they got a win or at least something, because I do worry when teams are on them long runs and then we turn up. We just gift them one, didn't we? That he is going to be under pressure. I think it's only a matter of time before they change managers. They seem to have gone a little bit stale. I expected more of them last season. Didn't really do much today last year, and again this year they're kind of around the middle, not doing a lot. So I expect they probably will change in the next couple of weeks. Hopefully we can speed up a bit at the weekend. I mean, I've been to Norwich. I think I worked out today. I've been there 12 times watching QPR. I've never seen us win. So the good news is I'm not going on Saturday. So hopefully we can get something at the weekend.
Yeah, it's up there with Ewood Park and the City ground, isn't it, for a bad ground for QPR? Personally, I think it's better to be facing a manager under pressure still, because things are clearly not going great there. If it was a new managers usually against QPR would always get at least a point from the game. So gives us maybe a bit of a chance to get the crowd against him if we can get ahead in the game. Norwich, though, overall, very hard side to get a read on. They've scored 29, which is the same as Leicester, but nobody has conceded more than them. Suggests that if QPR can't score here, though, against that defence, then we have got some real problems.
Yeah, when we played them in the cup, I didn't think they looked amazing. And they won the game late, didn't they? And it's probably a patched up team as well they had. But yeah, I thought they looked okay. They started the season reasonably well, but like I say, they are open at the back. I saw them against Blackburn, and they looked quite easy to score against. I mean, yeah, they've got to be very easy to score against for us to get one, haven't they? But we've got to see it. This is a real opportunity to go there. If we can get like Chair and Willock on the ball, if we can get Cannon back and Powell overlapping as fullbacks, we've got a decent chance. The key to this game is we've got to get that first goal. If we can get the first goal, turn the crowd against them a little bit, we'll be up. You'd think maybe we can get something. Then if we fall behind, I do fear for us. I'm still not convinced we're that good coming from behind, to be honest.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. It does have the feel of one of those games where first goal, if there even is a first goal, obviously with QPR at the moment, then it is a major point in the game for us to get it. We've already touched though on the lack of QPR goal threat. We talk about it every week, but this was an important one because Cifuentes, he's had the 2-week break to try and work on things. But then you have to take into account that Dykes, Armstrong and Coley have all been away on international duty. So it's not going to have been easy for him to fix it without the players there to work with, has it?
Yeah, and Smith's been away as well. So yeah, most of his attacking players haven't been there. So it's not ideal, really, is it? But I think it would have been good for him to have 2 weeks. I think just to keep trying to get them organised. I think a key thing for us is being hard to beat. We're just so easy to beat when we were under Ainsworth and under Critchley as well. Make yourselves hard to beat, stay in games, and then, you've got a chance of getting wins. Too often this year, we've been out of the games by half time, and it's, trying to come back from 2 down. That you're just not going to do it. I don't think it's an easily solvable thing, getting goals out of this team, to be honest. I mean, it's been this way for under 3 different managers now, possibly 4, even under Warburton. We weren't prolific, was we, to be honest? So I think it's going to be, unless they can get players in January, I don't think this is a easily solvable problem.
No, you're right. Towards the end of Warburton's reign, we were struggling for goals in games. Elsewhere from the QPR team, Kakai, in my view, probably had his best game as a right back for some time against Bristol City. But Reggie Cannon, rumours that he's fit again. Is he going to come straight back in, or Kakai deserves to keep his place?
I think if he's fit, he has to come back in, really. Kakai had a really good game, I thought, against Bristol. He played well, but you've got to go with your best team, and I think Cannon's slightly better than Kakai, especially going forward. So if he's fit, I'll definitely have him back in the side. We're going to need him this week. I mean, by the look of just the early games, the way he wants the fullbacks to play, I think Cannon and Power are going to be key to us moving up the table.
Yeah, I think he set the precedent when he dropped Dixon Bonner for the last game. Even though he played well, first choice players are clearly going to come straight back into the team if they're available. So I think Cannon will start. Jake Clark-Salter meant to be back as well, but I don't think he's going to rush him back because obviously he kept a clean sheet. And that maybe does him a favour because we know that rushing him back never tends to bode well. One player who will be missing though, Paul Smith. He's the latest QPR player to get a suspension for 5 yellow cards. Again, it was for dissent as well. And it feels like a few of his have been for dissent, throwing his arms up in the air when a decision goes against him. Now, why do players do that? Because why have a tantrum when you know you could get suspended?
Yeah, that's so frustrating. And I felt for him in that last game because he was getting kicked all over the place by that fullback, and he wouldn't book the fullback. And then when he finally booked him, he went mad and he booked Smith as well. It's like, oh, for God's sake. But you're right. It's stupid to get so many of these bookings for dissent and things like that. A lot of chairs bookings were for that as well, kicking the ball away, the last one. And it is going to cost us because he's been a good player for us. I thought he played well in the last game. Even whether he starts or comes off the bench, he's an important player for us. And, we can't afford to be without these players, especially as we keep saying we have these attacking problems. You can't keep losing your attacking players. We haven't got that many.
No, there's definitely is a little bit of ill discipline still in the ranks, and maybe that's something the new manager's probably been trying to get into them, that they can't be doing that. We can't win games with players getting suspended or missing matches, and it's almost certain though that Ilias Chair will come back in to replace him in the front line. I don't think there'll be too many other changes. And then it'll be Stoke on Tuesday at home, our latest attempt to get this unwanted home record off our backs. Now 13 home games without a win going back to March. We do, though, have a much better record against Stoke. We've only lost 2 of the last 10 against them. But after a slow start to the season, they've found their feet lately. They're unbeaten in 5 games. Probably could have done with playing them earlier in the season, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think I say this about Stoke every year. On paper, they look a really good team. You look at their squad, like, oh, they look all right. But then they always seem to finish around 15th, 16th and don't do a lot. So hopefully we get them on one of them nights where they're off the boil. They're a beatable team. I quite like their manager. We normally struggle against these teams, but it's anyone for us at home is hard at the minute, really, isn't it? And you just look at our next couple of home games, you think surely they've got to win one of them. They need to win some of these home games because we've got a little run now where we're not playing a lot of the top teams. So we've got to try and start getting some points on the board quickly because we're virtually at Christmas already and only on 10 points we got so far. Going to need to improve that very quickly.
Yeah, I think our next run of fixtures now up until Sheffield Wednesday just before Christmas, every match is winnable, you'd have to say, especially if you want to try and survive. So we need to be starting to get something. In terms of Stoke, I thought Alex Neil was literally on the verge of getting the sack earlier in the campaign, but now they've only lost 2 in 8 and they've shot up the table. It just shows you how fast things can change if you can get a few consecutive wins, which obviously QPR haven't been able to do for a long time. Their last 2 matches, though, Stoke have ended 0-0. Our last match was 0-0. We've talked about our struggles for goals. Stoke have only averaged 1 goal a game. That home match looks like it maybe could be Bristol City match deja vu between 2 very maybe similar sides.
Yeah, it was 0-0 at home last year as well, wasn't it? I remember that was a pretty dire game. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a draw. We've already said on this, goals is a problem for us. But, if we can keep another clean sheet, that would be a bonus. We need to get wins, but it's important not to lose as well. So, if we can get something, ideally we get four points from these 2 games. I think we'd be pretty happy with that. But Stoke won't be easy. I can think of better sides I would have wanted to play at home, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned in there 4 points from 6 out of 6 this week. Is that your final prediction? Was that what you'd go for?
It's not what I think. It's what I'm hoping for. I think it might be 2 draws from the games, which is not the end of the world. But Obviously we won bout. I hope it's 4. I hope we win 1 and draw 1. But I think it's going to be 2 draws.
Yeah, do you know what? I'm not just being agreeable. I genuinely think it's going to be 2 draws this week because you touched on it before. We're controlling a little bit more of the games. We're having a bit more possession, which means you're not likely to get battered in games. They should be closer. I do not think this is going to be the last time I mention that home record, though. I think Stoke's just going to be one of those, probably a very poor game. Maybe I could say 0-0 again. Norwich, just hope we're competitive. We do look like we're making improvements, but it's just up front. We can't keep saying the same thing, but it is just the issue, isn't it? Every time you think, we've got a chance, you think, are we really going to outscore these teams? And then the doubts start creeping in, don't they? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Can QPR finally solve that goal scoring issue? Do you think we'll get more than 2 points this week? We face Preston on Friday next week, so the team could really do with hitting the ground running after this break, because 3 games in 7 days, if it doesn't go well, it's not going to be a promising picture. We'll be back to preview that trip to Preston next week. And until then, thank you for watching. And as always, come on, you arse.
We know who we are. You know who we are. We are QPR.